Welcome everybody to update number 49. So we've had a few sales on recently. HMV had a rather large sale on, 50% off a lot of their Blu-rays and even some special editions. 88 Films though and Indicator had the two bigger sales on, and even Our Films have a sale on at the moment. So yeah, which I'll definitely be getting around to at some point. But yeah, we'll take a look at the more like standard Blu-rays first, and then we'll look at the more special versions. So yeah, first we've got a house with a clock in its walls. So yeah, I rather enjoyed this when I originally watched it, and I certainly have enjoyed it more than any other Eli Roth film that I've seen. I think the only other one that I've enjoyed has been Cabin Fever, and that was an extremely long time ago. But yeah, good cast, Jack Black and Kate Blanchett, and yeah, but no printed disc or anything like that, because it is at the end of the day more of a special version. And then we've got The Mitchells versus the Machines, which yeah is easily one of my favourite recent animated films, especially since it's got references and elements to it that remind me of like classic older films, 50 sci-fi films for instance, like that. And yeah, really like the cover artwork that it's got going for it, and considering it's a Netflix film, really I'm surprised that it's actually been given a Blu-ray release. So yeah, and they've done a good job with it as well. It's actually got a nicely printed disc, which is more effort than I'd expected, and even more effort is the fact that it comes with a little bit of a physical extra in terms of who is Katie Mitchell. So yeah, obviously none of this is advertised in any other films or anything like that. It's just a little extra for the film itself. So yeah, that's a really rather nice little bit of extra there, and it's obviously not even a limited edition, so that is nice. And then we have In the Earth, which is a really rather decent Ben Wheatley horror, kind of folk horror kind of film. Printed disc, but you wouldn't know the film from that disc, so not really that great. But yeah, the film is fairly solid in its own right. And then a film that I know not a lot of people like, but I really rather enjoy it, especially for the cast, and that is In a Valley of Violence. And yeah, Ethan Hawke and John Travolta are really rather solid. And yeah, it's even got a somewhat printed disc, so yeah, solid film. But they're the basic films. So now we're going on to the more like boutique labels and more special edition versions. The first of which is Anatomy of a Murder. Now, when we did the Criterion Collection update a whole month ago now, I thought I had this film already. So yeah, that's why I didn't buy it when it was on sale on the Criterion Collection. So yeah, well, thankfully though, the sale revealed that I didn't actually own this, and yeah, went out on strike away, bought it. It got a fantastic cast as well, with James Stewart leading the way, and yeah, looks really rather good from this version that Criterion have done. And yeah, nice printed disc, and yeah, on top of that you get a booklet as well. Fantastic courtroom drama, and yeah, you got in this you got casting credits in terms of the booklet. And then you got Atomization of a Murder by Nick Pinkerton, and then you got Joe Welch in Juicy New Role by Ernest Haveman, and then you got About the Transfer as well, which, yeah, has had a new digital transfer was created on a Spirit 4K in 4K resolution from a new 35mm fine grain master positive that was struck from the original camera negative at a laboratory in California. So yeah, and it was restored at Technicolor in Los Angeles as well. So yeah, fantastic film, and looks even better now with that release. And then we have a release from Premium Collection from HMV. Now these are apparently being wound down, so whatever they have left is all they're ever going to make for some reason. I think it's maybe because production companies and film release companies and all that lot have basically realised that there is money to be made in releasing physical films. It's not just about streaming or the theatre or cinemas. It's yeah, about physical releases as well. So yeah, I kind of jumped on board and got one of them, and that is Mutiny on the Bounty. Now this is the 1962 version. I've only seen the 80s version with Mel Gibson, but yeah, this is apparently a massive epic film, as yeah, it clocks in at 185 minutes long, and he spent $700,000 just on the ship alone to recreate the bounty itself. So yeah, it looks like it's got plenty of effort put into it, and yeah, the film itself has had the release itself is fairly decent, as well as yeah, you got plenty of extras on it. I mean, you got so many extras, in fact, that the DVD has to have them across 2 discs. So, yeah, and the main big extra on this is a 2006 featurette after the camera stopped rolling, The Journey of the Bounty. Then you got 4 vintage featurettes and an alternate prologue and epilogue sequences that were not originally seen when it was released originally. So, yeah, and you get a booklet as well with it, which is just the standard artwork on the back and the front. But yeah, in here you get a write-up on the film, basically. Tragic Odyssey of the Bounty, which is basically the events of the original ship. And then you got a write-up on the screenwriter and Marlon Brando himself. So, yeah, really rather solid effort. Obviously, you don't get art cards or a poster with this release. Usually when you do get a booklet, you don't get any of those art cards or posters. The same was with Casablanca. But still, it's a nicely done effort. And then from Eureka, we have the double feature of The Prodigal Son and Warriors 2. Because I've been getting into a lot of my Asian films lately, especially the action variety, I figured I'd get these, especially since there weren't many left of this when I eventually decided to buy it. So yeah, jumped at the chance to get it. So yeah, I've not seen either of these yet. The only annoying thing with this release is that the poster is loose inside between the case and the cover itself. So yeah, that's a little bit annoying, but it is a really rather nice poster regardless. The artwork is exquisitely done. And it's on double sides as well, so that's the Warriors 2 poster. And then the Prodigal Son, which are all nicely done. And a really nice thick paper as well on that, which is always good. It's nothing worse than a thin poster. And then you get a booklet with this as well, and both films are on their own individual discs, which again is nice to see. So yeah, the booklet, which has shots from the films themselves. So yeah, it goes through the cast and crew of each film. And then you got Wing Chun Hustle by Sammo Hung steps up in Warriors 2. So I think that's a write-up from the period. Then you've got, on The Prodigal Son, you've got A Fight at the Opera, Performance Perfectionism, The Prodigal Son. So yeah, and then you've got shots from the film. Again, not seen either of these yet, just not gotten around to viewing them yet, purely because of how many other films I've been buying lately. But yeah, looks like a nice pair of films, that. And Eureka have rarely done wrong with their double features or their releases out of more than one film. So yeah, really looking forward to finally getting around to them. And then finally, with the sales from 88 Films and Indicator, so let's look at those. And the first of which is The Seventh Curse. Now, I've got this because I'm really rather like the kind of mixture of action and like fantasy and horror and all that that we've seen from other films from Hong Kong from the 80s. You know, like Mr. Vampire and what else? Oh yeah, Encounters of the Spooky Kind. They're the two kind of similar efforts to this. So yeah, and obviously we have the Mr. Vampire sequels coming as well from Eureka in the future. So I figured high time to get on to more of these kind of similar efforts. And yeah, this is nicely done by 88 Films. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching this. And it's only clocking in at around 83 minutes long. So yeah, should hardly be an enduring, arduous watch, quite frankly. And then we have from the Slasher Classics collection from 88 Films, The First Power. Now, if you've seen the film Fallen with Denzel Washington and John Goodman, then you've basically already know what this film is all about. But still, even though it's not as stylish as that film, it's still really rather good in its own right. And yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips, Tracy Griffith, and who else is in it? No one that I can remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it's still got a solid score on it as well. And yeah, it's overall engrossing, if a little bit on the dumb side of things at times. And then we have A Candle for the Devil. Not seen this yet, but I've heard good things from it. And it's got a new 2K transfer from its original negative. It's from 1972, 3. Never can tell by the... I think it's 1972. I'm sure you can find that. Yeah, no, 1973 it says it on the back there. Right, yeah, so that's fine. And then you got a printed disc on it. And you got the limited edition slipcover on it as well with the new artwork, which is slightly different to the other one. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that, but I have nothing to say on it because, like I said, I have yet to see it. And then we've got Vigilante, which is a lot less exploitation and action heavy as I expected, given its premise and how usually these kind of vigilante films, like the Death Wish films, especially its sequel Death Wish 2, really do go for the guts in terms of being exploitative. But yeah, this is way more character based and way more thematically heavy than I expected. So yeah, which was a really nice surprise. And yeah, Robert Forrester and who was it? Fred Williamson are really rather good in their leading roles. And yeah, you get a nice poster with this as well to go along with the nice slipcover that it's got going on. So the poster is basically the artwork that we just saw in the slipcover, but I'll show you regardless, because you also get the alternate title on the other side. So there's the new artwork, or the slipcover artwork, and then its original title, well, another title that was released under is Street Fighters. And yeah, I really rather like that artwork as well. So yeah, plenty of choices. I always do like a double-sided poster because it gives you all of the options that you want. And yeah, then we got a box set from 88 Films. This is the last one I bought from them for the sale, and it is a Tiger Cage trilogy. The first two films starred Donnie Yen, and he's the main reason I bought these because yeah, really rather enjoyed him in the new John Wick film. And yeah, I also enjoyed him in the Line of Duty 4. So yeah, figured may as well just try out the trilogy and see what he is like. Although unfortunately he's not in the third film, so yeah, so no idea how that's going to play out in comparison to the first two. But yeah, go on, get around. There we go. So yeah, it's just a standard box set basically. So nothing special in terms of how it's presented in physically, but I'm sure they all look really rather nice on these new discs. And yeah, Tiger Cage free. So yeah, no idea what they're like. Heard some good stuff about the first two, but like I said, I've heard a bit more mixed responses in terms of the third one, which is probably down to the fact that Donnie Yen isn't in it. But yeah, and finally we have from 8 Indicator, we have several releases, 3 of which are not limited edition, but still, first of which is A Dandy in Aspic. Now, I hadn't seen this before buying it, but I have just watched it, and I really rather enjoyed it. I know some people are a bit down on it, which is probably because in terms of the production, Anthony Mann, the director, died before actually finishing it off, and Lawrence Harvey, the lead actor, rounded out the directorial duties. So yeah, it might be a little bit inconsistent in that regard, but on the whole, I found it to be a really rather solid spy film. And yeah, it's dripping in Cold War aesthetic as well. So yeah, and you got a good cast as well with Tom Courtenay and Mia Farrow being in the supporting roles as well. So yeah, really rather enjoyed that. And then we have The Snake Pit with Olivia de Havilland, directed by Anatoly Livak. I can't remember if I've seen anything from before, but I've heard good things from this, and it does sound good by its premise. So yeah. Is there anyone else in it that I know in terms of the cast? No. That's no bad thing. Just means that you find new people to find films from, basically. As I always do when I've watched a film that I enjoy, I end up, snooping around the cast, the director if I've not seen much from before, even the composer at times. And then a film I have seen from Indicator is Happy Birthday to Me, early 80s slasher from Canada. And yeah, the murder that is on the disc and the cover does actually happen, which is, yeah, pretty odd. And yeah, I seem to remember the ending being a little bit weird, but yeah, did enjoy that. And these next 2 films that are in their limited edition versions I haven't seen, but the first of is Little Black Joy. Now this stars no one I've heard of. I thought I had heard of someone in this, but yeah, probably the director Anthony Cinnamons that I am basing my wish to watch this off of. And yeah, it does sound good, to be honest. And yeah, being the limited edition, you get a nice big booklet with it as well. But yeah, first the printed disc, which again is more of the same artwork, but as per usual with these, you do get a alternate art cover, I think, yeah, without the indicator stuff on the top, so that's nicely done. Yeah, the booklet itself, and yeah, cast and crew as per usual. Then Black Joy, An Outsider's Appreciation by Josephine Dolan from 2019. And yeah, basically shots from the film. Again, like I said, not seen this yet, so don't have anything really to report on it. Then Norman Beaton on Black Joy from 1986. Then you got critical responses from the time. And then All Very Fine and Large by Michael Brook from 2019. There's also an extra on here called Bow Bells, 15 minutes long, from 1954, also directed by Anthony Simmons. And yeah. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing that. Like I said, I've heard good things. Another film I've heard good things about is The Chalk Garden, also in a limited edition form. And yeah, Deborah Kerr is a really rather fantastic actress, and I think I've seen good stuff from Ronald Neame as well, who directed this. So yeah, looking forward to seeing this one as well. And yeah, as per usual, you get the alternate art cover on artwork on the other side of the disc. And yeah, the booklet itself. So yeah, what we've got in this cast and crew again as usual. Then Is It a Crime to Want to Be Remembered by Melanie Williams from 2021. Then you got Making the Chalk Garden by Bethan Roberts from 2021. Then you got Critical Response at the Time. And then About the Presentation, which is a Universal HD remaster. And then another artwork there. So yeah, and finally, the creme de la creme, the main limited edition one I got. Obviously, we had a box set with 88 films, but this is a more high market box set in terms of how it's just presented, and that is Robin Hood at Hammer, which, yeah, I really did enjoy both of these films, which are Sword of Sherwood Forest, and as we'll see when we get the discs out, A Challenge for Robin Hood, which we have the alternate artwork for on the other side, which I'll show you now once I get these discs out. Personally, I preferred the second film over the first, but only by a small amount. Not a huge amount, really, but yeah, still. Enjoyed both of them really well, and yeah, it's a different kind of thing from Hammer, because back in the 60s and 70s, they were making, you know, a lot more violent films, and yeah, this was certainly a film more aimed at children. And yeah, the first film does have the better cast with Richard Green and Peter Cushing, but the second film is overall just more enjoyable and a bit more well-rounded. So yeah, contents. So you got Sword of Sherwood Forest and the Challenge for the Robin Hood cast and crew. Then we've got Riding Through the Glen by Frank Collins from 2022, Richard Green from Television to Cinema, Giving It Away from 1960, Short Sword of Sherwood Forest on Location from 1960, Who Was Robin Hood from 1960, Robin Hood on Screen from 1967, Exploiting a Challenge for Robin Hood Jr., Wild Animals Can Be Dangerous by Jeff Billington from 2022, and About the Presentation. So yeah, you got shots from the film, and like I said, About the Presentation. This is a very thick book, as you can see, 77 pages at least, and yeah, the presentations are all supplied in HD by Sony. Well, the first one was, and then the second one was supplied in HD by Studio Canal, and Robin Hood Jr. was supplied in HD by the British Film Institute. So yeah, what is Robin Hood Jr.? Can't remember what that one was. It's probably a TV series or a TV series pilot, but I can't see it on here. Robin Hood Jr., 1975 Children's Film Foundation Adventure Yarn starring Keith Chegwin. Yeah, TV episode or pilot or something like that, because Chief Chegwin was or is a well-known TV personality in the UK, and then we get a really nice double-sided poster with both films on, in really rather thick paper as per usual with these indicator releases. So there's a challenge for Robin Hood, which is nicely done. But I think the Sword of Sherwood Forest poster looks even better. I love those bright, vivid colours, and yeah, absolute business as per usual with these indicator releases. And obviously you get the main thick box as well, which is really well done. They really do these nice thick boxes really nicely well on the indicator. So, and obviously we've had them before with like, so Remember the Night and Big Gun Down, Johnny Guitar. Oh no, they were Eureka. I don't know why I always get those mixed up. But yeah, and then the Swimmer and the Pimini Organisation and Road Games and Force 10 from Navarone. They've done these thick boxes for a long time, and they keep knocking them out of the park, especially when they put this new artwork on it as well. And really like the blue colour with it as well. So and that is number 3,119 out of 5,000. So yeah, not sure how many of these have sold in that sale. They haven't gone down to a low stock update yet on these, so probably still got a fair few hundred left. But yeah, do highly recommend them, especially if you're into your old classic adventure kind of films, or swashbuckling kind of films or anything like that. It does remind me of 1930s film, The Adventure of Robin Hood. I think I have that film. I seem to have it on. I think I got that on the premium collection from HMV a while ago, but I'm not seeing it off the top of my. Oh yeah, The Adventures of Robin Hood. It's basically those two films remind me of this. Light-hearted, not too violent or anything like that, and it's weirdly enough a bit of a link up to a previous film, Olivia de Havilland. So that's the kind of film that those two remind me of, basically. Light-hearted, not too violent, and really rather quite whimsical, and really nicely shot. They look great as per usual when it comes to Hammer films in terms of the production and the cinematography. So there we go, a whole host of films. That is a lot. Obviously some are in box sets, so that kind of makes up for it, but still fantastic amount of films. And I know it's been a month to the day, in fact, since the last update, but I do prefer to kind of get them built up a little bit, especially if I know that we have new releases that I'm going to be reviewing in the future anyway, or in the past with the likes of the Star Trek box set and the Bob Clark horror collection, which I hope you've enjoyed watching as well. So but nonetheless, thank you for watching on this update. Hope you enjoyed this. If you've seen any of these films, I'd like to hear your thoughts on them. But nonetheless, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.